What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to be putting these rebuilt calipers back on the 2000 Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R. The tools that are going to be required to install this brake system are as follows. You need to get a Allen wrench for the controls to put them on the handlebars, 10mm wrench, 12mm wrench for those who aren't poor. I'm not poor. I'm kidding. I'm poor. For those who are rich, get yourself an electric ratchet, a 10mm socket, a 12mm socket, and a whole lot of Jesus, and pray that this works. So let's just say like all this stuff is disassembled and you forget how it goes back on the bike. Well, it took me about 10 minutes to figure out the configuration of how everything goes on there. So let me go ahead and reassemble it in front of you so that you can follow this as I install it. So let me go ahead and move you guys over to the other side and you can see it from straight on the bike. All right, the way you start with this is you're going to take your brake lines, you're going to drape them inside the forks through the front, and you're going to have this one facing out toward the right side of the bike, which would be the front brake side, of course. Duh, that's what we're working on. This plastic, I'm pretty sure you have it. If you don't, I would recommend getting one. This is aftermarket. Omit this. What we're focusing on is this right here. All right, this metal bracket goes in behind it. It's got little indentions and it fits perfectly. See? And then you got this little groove. And what this does is it hangs onto and it keeps your the brake lines lined up just right. So we're going to do this. Now there's two screws that go on the front of this bike, and they are indeed different lengths. Let me show you. They are different lengths, and they're different lengths for a reason. The longest one goes on the block. Okay, this is a brake splitter, whatever. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it goes on this side. You're gonna take the bolts, go through the bracket, through the block, and make sure that it lines up. Everything has to line up. All right, we're going to start with this first. And then we're going to put this up here. This hose wants to fight me every step of the way. Okay. All right. I'm going to line this one up first. I'm going to run it up. Make sure that you don't let that hose fall outside of that bracket. Okay, just get that started a little bit. And then the shorter one, it's got a spacer. Take the spacer and put it over the bolt. Put that on the front. And that should do it. So that's basically how that part goes. This is going to go up to the front brake, and I'll be installing that here in a moment. So let me go ahead. I'm going to use my 10mm. I'm going to run these up. Just snug. That's it. Just snug. All right. Now we got these brake lines hanging down, and we'll work with these. So let's go ahead and put the calipers on. Now here's a good question to ask yourself. You do have two brake calipers that go on the front of the bike. You really can't screw it up, but in the event that you're actually doing your own brakes, make sure that whenever you put the calipers back on the vehicle, in order to know what side goes where, look at the bleed valve. All right, the bleed valve always goes on the topmost part of that caliper. Never, ever, ever install it this way. because when that fluid goes in here, well, it's going to fall to the bottom. Well, all you're bleeding out is whatever fluid is still left in here. There's no fluid ever making it to the top and filling this cavity. Now all this is going to be air. All right, so flip it over, and then now let gravity do the work. It fills all of this caliper full of fluid all the way up to the bleed valve, and any air that you have trapped will finally make it out of that bleed valve. So just a little tip. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I space out these brake pads, and I'm going to slide them back here on either side of that rotor. I did talk to the owner. He says he does want to swap out these rotors. He wants to get aftermarket ones. So we will be doing that at a later time, just not right now. And I'm going to run these up a few threads. Ta-da! And because I'm rich, I can afford to run it up with this. If it was the right size. Let's try 12 this time. I'm hitting it to where it bottoms out on this. I'm not torquing it yet. There you go. Alright, and then with the manual one, I'll bump it. Just a couple bumps. Now you remember that banjo washer I was telling you about? This copper one? This is where it comes into play. Alright, so check your bolt. Run it through. Banjo washer underneath. You run this up like this. Things this important, I do it finger tight. And the little ledge of this caliper is going to stop that from rotating. So we're going to give it a little bit of torquing. Come on. Nice good seal. It's not going nowhere. And I crushed that washer. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys so you can see. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. This washer has kind of it squished a little bit. So that's good. That's what I wanted. And I'm going to repeat the same process for the other side. Shifting our attention to the rear section of the bike. In order to get that rear caliper off, I had to actually take the brake system and everything off of it so that I can get through to it on the other side. But in order to reassemble it, it goes together like this. The master cylinder is on the outside of the pedal. Then there, on this bike, it came with a shield. And you run up the bolts. Always do this fingers first. Okay, there's one. Alright, fingers first, and now those are done. I'm cheating because I'm not poor. I'm kidding, I'm poor. This is from Harbor Freight. It's one of the cheaper ones. But it does the job. Alright, got that on there. Now you got to get this pin in here for the, this is your rear brake. This is what connects the rear brake to your brake system. So here's your pin. It goes in through the back. I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure hang on to the pedal just like that. I'll show you one more time so you don't screw that up. And pop it back out. Ted, get out. Out. All right. Hang on to the peg. Hang on to the brake. You're gonna push this away. At the same time, with your thumb, you're holding it in place. It just finds its home. And then there's a little hole on the side for your cotter pin. Don't forget to put that cotter pin in there, otherwise you'll lose your rear brakes. And then you space out your cotter pin, and this is ready to go back on the side of the bike. And we'll continue on with the caliper here in just a second. Let me get this all bent up and get this mounted on the side of the bike. Proper way to do your cotter pins. Focus. See? You see how I did that? It goes through, and then I bent it around on each side, so it looks like a W. That's how you do cotter pins. Back over here on the right side of the bike. I got 2 extra bolts. These go in these 2 locations. This here is the sensor for your rear brake light. I can't remember exactly how that goes in, but we're going to figure that out. The rear brake, the light for that one I think is going to go here. And the rest of it connects down below, but I'll take care of that here in a minute. So we're going to shift our attention to the caliper now. Shift our attention. All right, here's a little tip whenever you guys go to install the rear caliper. All right, now look close at the pads, all right? And the spring, that spring plate that's way up inside there, that copper thing you see, these pads, if they're pushed together, it's not going to fit right. What you got to do, it's got a little bitty lip on the inside of that. You take a small screwdriver and push in on that, the spring clip, and bring this pad out to this side, creating that gap. All right, because this is not going to go anywhere. This is the one that moves. All right, remember that, because it's on these. It moves like this. So the piston is going to push this way to the left, while this other brake pad will not go anywhere. So just food for thought, guys. Make sure you line these things up correctly. I do apologize if you guys don't see anything, but this is not really that super easy. I mean, it's easy, but it's not easy. If that makes any sense. Oh, come on. Let's get it started. Roll it on there. Aha! Oh, hey, what do you know? This might actually be a lot simpler than I give it credit for. Alright, now that is on there. As you can see, the direction of movement. So whenever this caliper pushes up against that pad, it's actually going to force the caliper itself to move toward the muffler. And whenever you get off the brake, it'll relax and move inward and away from the muffler. And we're good. That's on there. That is loose. Oh, that's a new one. All right. Let's go ahead and get the this part of the brake system all bled, and we'll go from there. Now, before you go to bleed the brakes, you want to make sure that you definitely double check on the type of brake fluid that goes in it. I'm looking at the top of this, the brake reservoir for the rear. Let me show you. This one says .4. Look close enough. Where's the camera? Where you at? Right there. Focus. There you go. It is right. Sorry, guys. It's right there. .4. So this bike requires .4 brake fluid. Okay, so my neighbor just happened to have .4 available, and my truck requires .3. So there is a difference in brake fluid. A bunch of bubbles. The whole system's empty right now. So I'm going to be pumping this thing for a little bit, and I got to bleed the rear end. And you'll see the brake caliper itself start to actually press in on the brakes. Let me break open that brake bleeder first. I think that was, is that 10 millimeter? That's 10 millimeter. Is it 10? Yeah, it's 10 millimeter. We're going to crack that open. So I get some fluid to go in through there. Yeah. Okay, so what I need to do is I got to put my little device on there to pull fluid through there. So give me 1 second. All right, so I got my homemade brake bleeder on here. Basically what it is, just I got a bottle with a vacuum line attached to it, and I put the vacuum line onto the brake bleeder itself, and I have the brake line cracked open, and all I gotta do is just pedal it. And it's pushing air out. And the liquid level in the reservoir is going down. Oh, there we go. And there's the old fluid in the line, as you can see. I'm going to keep going until that fluid is clear. Excellent. That's what I want. This is how you flush your brakes. Put a little bit more in the reservoir. Don't let the reservoir go empty. You got to repeat this process for the front as well. The front's probably going to take a little longer because I've got a whole lot more volume space due to the size of the calipers, and yeah. So we're gonna I want all those air bubbles out. As See how it's moving the caliper? And we're done with this side. Then slowly break it free, lift it up, and you're done. And this wheel should still spin free, but you can hear the brakes kind of dragging a little bit, which is fine. This is going to be a brake flush and brake bleeding session. So let's move forward, brakes. Move forward, brakes. Moving back, brakes. 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 Yeah. Perfect. Now he's got brakes. Fantastic. I like that. Let's move to the front. All right. So after talking to Josh about the front brake situation, it shows that I didn't have any pressure whatsoever in this front brake reservoir, and this just wasn't going to work. So we went ahead and got ourselves other ones from fxcnc.com. So we went with black on this one. Black with red. This is going to be the clutch handle. This goes here. Now, I'm not going to install the clutch cable just yet because I purchased a separate clutch line adjuster. Because I don't like this one. I never did. They're really difficult to adjust. It's a pain in the butt. So I'm not going to be installing those just yet. Now, as for the front brakes, I went back with the original design, which I like this one. This one's actually pretty sweet. I went with the standalone reservoir with a braided line, all black in color with a red adjuster like the clutch handle. And this one's also got the bolts and the bolt and the crush washers included. So that's actually going to help me quite a bit. And we're going to slap this over there. Now I think I'm going to leave this reservoir attached with this bracket. There is another place where I can mount it on here onto the triple tree, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it as is, and we're going to roll with it and see what that looks like. So let me go ahead, install this. I'm going to get the old ones off. I got to break the line. I'm going to have air in the line again, so I got to bleed it all over again. But let's go ahead and get this all connected, hooked up, and give this bike some front brakes for a change, because this thing was scary to ride. Alright, so as you'll observe right now, I went ahead and taken this banjo bolt out, and when I pulled it out, and opened everything up, it's dry. It's still dry. And I have tried to pump the actual handle itself, and the reservoir does have fluid in it. There's nothing coming out of it, but I mean, there's nothing that's stopping it from coming this way. But there's no fluid coming out of here going into the line, so therefore it's not pressing up the line. So what I'm thinking is I may have to, I think I gotta prime the actual master cylinder in here and then put the bolt back in, because as I'm looking, this is dry. There's nothing there. So I'm kind of disappointed with that. I really thought that was going to go a whole lot easier, but unfortunately that is not the case. Another thing I wanted to point out is one of the parts came in the mail, and it's the part that I was talking about. This is for the clutch handle. The one that's on my bike, this one here, it's black, but this one for the Kawasaki is red. This one is the adjuster for the clutch cable. It's just gonna make it easier to use. So it finally came in. I'll install that later. But anyway, I want to try to fix this issue right now. You see, what's going on inside here is there's a plunger that's back here, and as you squeeze the handle, right? As you squeeze it, get you guys some light. There you go. See a copper thing down inside there? That's the plunger. And as it moves back and forth, it pulls fluid from this line down inside of the plunger and then into the reservoir down inside here, or into the master cylinder. This is your reservoir that's up here, and that's your master cylinder. And I believe inside here, this little area, this small section, it's about 2 inches wide, where the plunger's at, this is where the air bubble was being trapped, and I couldn't purge the system. It wouldn't let me charge it. So let me see. I'll zoom out just a smidge. Let's see. Sorry about the clutch, guys. Get that out of the way. I want to see if I can do this. They say to plug it with your thumb and keep going until it builds some kind of pressure. And what that's doing is it pulls fluid from the reservoir and pushes against my thumb. And that's going to purge the rest of the air out. I don't know if it's going to work, but I can kind of feel it pushing. I've never done this before, so. Pull my thumb away. And there's nothing back there. So that is concerning. I don't know exactly what I'm doing wrong, but I am trying to get the fluid inside here. It just doesn't seem to want to work with me. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, well, I did manage to get it figured out. What ended up happening was there was an air pocket that was on the inside here. Let's see what you guys got closer. Alright. Reservoir, hose. Inside here, this is your master cylinder. That's inside here. And there was an air pocket that was stuck right here. And when there's no way to pull fluid from this reservoir through here from the plunger. Let's see, your plunger is, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see here, it's on the back of the handle. Where's it at? No. Where are you at? see, it's hard to tell. Where's it at? This is your plunger. Right here. So whenever you squeeze the handle, right there, that clicking you hear, you're pushing in. Let's see, we're gonna put some light to this. It's not. Anyway, it's activating that plunger. Let's level that out. There we go. But what I ended up doing was I pulled this hose off, and I used like a syringe, and I filled it with brake fluid, and I poured it inside here. I injected it in here to fill that air gap. And then I put the bolt back on here, and I would depress it, which would force fluid into this line. And then I did that like 3 times. And eventually, when I finally put that on, I come back over here to the adjustments so I can have full range. Because before, it was like this. And you can see where the handle, it touches the grips. And I don't want that. So I back it off a few. And I mean, I can squeeze and the brakes get really hard and they don't touch the handle right there. So that's good. Right there is is actually really good. But if you extend this all the way out as far as it'll go, that'll give you more plunger range. It'll actually push that plunger in much further. And it'll kind of speed up the process a little bit. But I now have front brakes. I have back brakes, which is good. Been working on this for what, almost 2 weeks now? Trying to figure out what's going on. What am I doing wrong? I'm gonna need to clean all this stuff up, and then we get to move on to the next item. So without further ado, let me clean up my hands, get this brake fluid off my hands, and I'm gonna hook up this clutch cable really quick, and then we'll call it a night. Okay, and finally we're going to go ahead and shift our attention over to this clutch adjuster so I can get this clutch cable all installed. Now this is the original one that had come out. I know you guys are able to see it. I'm not using that. So this one originally came with that, right? Right. Well, I don't like it because it's difficult to get a grip on this sometimes. So, to avoid any problems in the future, I completely scrap this idea, and I go with this. In my opinion, it's better. I believe so. And yes, it does fit. It's the same thread pitch. When you go to order these things though, you might want to double check and make sure you're getting the right thread pitch, because it does matter. I don't exactly know how far out I need to go, but we're just going to go all the way in. Alright. Now, on these, they have a gap right here. So both the washer on the red one, it's got this too. So it's got this, so you can actually take that wire and lay it down in there like a trough. It lays down inside, and then you close it up, and that wire is not going to go anywhere. You can adjust it all day long, and it won't pop out. So that's how you take them on and off. Well, what I'm looking for is that gap, and it's right here on this side, and on the adjuster it's on the opposite side. So I want to adjust these so that they will work with me. right there. So they're both on this side. Clutch cable looks like it connects up underneath here. Stay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay that cable in here. Actually, hold on. Let me hook it up to the handle first, wherever that is. Come on. Alright, usually this is far easier. Alright. And it looks like I'm probably going to have to adjust the clutch cable down below, because I think this one's a little bit bigger. And that's fine. That's fine. I kind of expected that. Not a stranger to it. I've had this happen. But this is going to sit up inside here, like so. See, I can't pull that back anymore. So what I need to do is find the clutch adjuster down here. It'll either be on this side. I don't know exactly where it is, but I'm going to have to make some adjustments, and we're going to take that and put it inside this little pocket. So give me a second, let me find the adjuster, loosen it up so I can actually get that wire in there so we can actually have a clutch to work with. Alright, so I found it. It's on the right side of this bike. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compress it. It's as if I'm pulling in on the clutch handle, and it's extending this wire out so I can actually move this back and get that set up, and then later on I can make adjustments as I go. So I'm going to line up these notches first, put a little bit of tension on it, and then as I squeeze over here, that pops in place, and voila, there you go. And I'm telling you right now, this is going to be tight. That's full on clutch, guys. It's good. So I'll just tighten that for right now. See, that's what I like about these. It's easy adjustment on the fly. That's why I like these so much. But that's pretty much it. And that's as far in as it's going to get it. I mean, it can always go much further out. But truly, I don't think you're going to need any more than that. I think you're in good shape. We are in good shape. So here's your clutch. And what I was compressing is this. I'm going to squeeze that same handle again. See it moving? That's your clutch right there. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to make adjustments to this right here. These two bolts, probably move it out some so that it'll disengage that clutch, because right now it's if I have this pulled in and this wire is now a little shorter, that means that the clutch would be the equivalent to being pulled in, so I can go through gears possibly and it won't engage the gears yet. So that's not good. I'm gonna have to make some adjustments to this, but we're good. We're good. It's fine. That's pretty much it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content of it as much as I had making it. I do apologize for a slightly lengthy video. I will tell you that this video actually took me about 3 weeks to put together, because I had to wait for parts. I had to figure out what I was doing wrong up here. There was multiple things and obstacles I had to run into and fix. But in the end, I got it all done. Now just the mechanical part is good. The electrical part is going to be next. Like this clutch handle kill switch, this is very different than the actual connection that's here. So I'm going to have to make these work somehow. I got to figure out which one's what. I also got the brake light switch underneath the actual brake handle over here, and that's a different connection. So I got to figure that one out. But that's again for another video. But yeah, that's going to be a wrap for today's video. If you guys liked it, like, share, comment, subscribe. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, y'all take it easy. I love you. Good night.